after tonight, I can send you the Excel one. It's and some of those still might change numbers, but it's like had to really cut to make it work on the structural one. That was well. I mean, it's well at some point you have to cut what you can cut, right? I mean, at least to match like the recurring revenues. I mean, to get that working, we had to cut, the police down from 40 to 25, then cell phone reimbursements out of the window for council and mayor, and then travel got cut down. I mean, all of it. I mean, if I didn't, I asked them last week, you let me know if you want to travel next year, because if I don't have it, we're not traveling. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it just becomes tighter and tighter. And then insurance is going to go up. I asked them, hey, what's the rate next year, right? Because I spread it based on our contents. Well, we're working on it now. I was like, in July, you have to have our budget passed by September. Well, budget 5 or 7%. I mean, there's a huge difference, like those 2%. The same with workman's comp. So that's just been kind of a mess. It's kind of, I don't want to say mess, but okay. But we should probably start the meeting right after 6 again. All right.
Okay. It is 6:01 and we'll call a meeting to order. And Tobias, if you would do a roll call.
Arstead.
Here.
Richardson.
Here.
Osby.
Here.
Fire. Here. Shooty. One present.
And pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And a short little ask of our Lord to be watching out for everybody. School starts Wednesday, and everybody needs to watch out for them and our teachers, and we thank all our first responders and police and our military for keeping us all free and safe, and appreciate the good crops that are coming along this year. Amen. A motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Motion to approve last meeting minutes.
Can we approve those with a correction to the headers for the public hearings? I copy pasted them, but didn't change the address. So
Okay, so
just need to be corrected. So correction for the public hearing headers.
Motion to approve with the correction of the headers for the public hearing.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Financials and claims. And everybody's looked them over. I don't guess anything didn't catch my eye. Otherwise, the motion is approved.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. consent calendar items, there are none. Open comments. And we have Brock Reed here and his wife that have come. They live, I'm gonna try to think.
129 Winterberry.
In the people that lived there before.
129 Winterberry, Vandermeer's old place.
Vandermeer's.
Vandermeer's old house. Anyway, go ahead, Brock.
Well, I just want to discuss my concern about discharge of fireworks in a residential area. And I don't know, you guys have ever had fireworks in your neighborhood? But I'd like to show you some of the stuff. This is a small sample of what we get out of our gutters and our yards, and there's wire and concrete stuff. So, you know, I'd like to have a choice to look at all this stuff. That's just a small sample. So I guess beyond that, it's a safety issue. I think in a residential neighborhood, you got pets. You have people that forget gas cans. We left in their yard. We got sparks coming down and roofs and rain gutters get plugged up. And really, that's my concern is that it doesn't appear to be, when they get set off from 50 yards, less than 50 yards from our homes, that that's a very good situation. It appears that, from my understanding, that there is an ordinance that you're supposed to use permit, and that's not been happening by the city. So I would assume there's some liability by the city with the permit or without the permit, by lack of not enforcing the ordinance. So we all forget things. We have this very good concern about that. I have other neighbors concerned. We've had flood drain gutters. We have a litter problem, obviously. Nobody seems to pick it up. Nobody seems to care. So anyway, that's my concern.
Okay. Anybody up here want to address Brock?
Well, I think we talked last month about this, and I thought we concluded that as far as we do it twice a year, or well, I don't even know if I want to say the city, but the city sponsors, I guess, twice a year, community days, CFFL. So, as far as community days goes, which I can speak to, I guess, I mean, we would just have to find a different location. I mean, that's kind of what it just comes down to, is you have to find a different location to shoot them. I don't know what that's going to be, because historically they were somewhere where you could, because where everybody is that night is Sunset Park. But that doesn't mean it has to be Saturday night either, community days. We can go back to when we used to do it at New Hope Park on Sunday. I mean, I think it just needs to be, it's not till June. So I think between now and June, there's going to come up with a solution of somewhere else to shoot them from. The bigger, what?
The public display permit.
The public display permit. So who gets the permit? The fire department?
The city gives you the permit.
But we're not the ones hiring who's hiring the?
Fire department is signing the contract with Premier Pyrotechnics.
I mean, usually we just have the organizer. That's what we use.
Yes.
I mean, Crooks Flag Football got it, I think, in 2017. It's like they got one.
Well, that's, yeah.
I mean, and that's a simple process.
That's a simple
That's just,
fix. But for community days, we'll just have to figure out another place to put this, shoot them from. I mean, it's not gonna, oh, sorry, go ahead. No, that's,
You're reading, I'm just.
yeah, no, that's, I mean, that would, we just have to figure out either a different place. It could even be a different time. Just have to be a different location.
I don't really think that it's the time that's the issue. It seems to be the location, that there's not enough.
Well, the location, the time becomes, if we change the location, we have to change the time, because traditionally, community days is Saturday night in the park. So that's what I'm saying. If we're going to shoot fireworks, we'd have to shoot them sometime when the events aren't in the park, you know, because you want to shoot them where people are. And so everybody's in the park Saturday night. So that's why we shoot them from the park. Maybe we move them to Sunday night and they're at a different park, or they're at the edge of town or somewhere
Why
else.
not move into the park instead of shooting them?
Because that's for the perimeter that you need,
Exactly.
but that's,
So we shoot them next to our homes. And
There-
even though there's a wider area, they don't get shot.
The protocol for the safe zone is being followed. That for every 100 feet of rise, you need 100 feet of space.
You don't have that.
Absolutely do. We have measured it time and time again.
How high do these go? They don't go over 100 feet?
Eric, do you know the stuff that's being
Maybe
launched?
100 to 200 feet at the most, because I know they really go smaller.
So
For how-
there's nothing- So I'll guarantee you, you're not 200 foot from my home. I will say you're not 100 foot from my home. From my property line, you're not even 50 feet.
No, because I know they measure that every time with a range meter, because I go talk to the guys.
You measured the property line?
With a range meter. I don't know your property line, no. Is that from the waterway?
Where our property goes right to the waterway.
Is it?
Set on the other side of the waterway.
Yeah, they do.
25, 30 feet.
Yep.
There's
Yeah.
no 100 feet.
I was going by your house. I wasn't going by your property line.
Well,
I understand. I'm just saying, I think they measure from their house. That's what I was saying.
okay, so then when I have fireworks on the other side of my home
Mhm.
and in my rain gutters, you think that's okay?
No, it's not. But I mean, they also can't I agree. They can't control the wind.
All of your other stuff, if you think that's okay, then my suggestion would be you go down and set them up by your homes.
well, I get stuff in, I'm close enough to get stuff in my home if the wind's just right, but I think we just have to, I mean,
We
this
can
is
find a
the first
different
year we've
location.
had a formal complaint, I would say, in all the years we've been doing this, so,
But it's not, I'm not the only person who's had the problem. No one else has had, I guess, the time or the effort to come and actually.
right, and so so you did, and we talked about it last month, and I thought we decided as a group, we're just gonna have to relook at either moving locations,
Yeah, find a different, we'll also find a different location.
so,
I'm not against fireworks,
For,
but I'm
But-
just saying.
No,
But
and
for you-
You shouldn't have to have them in your yard or in your gutters or anything like that, so we'll do the proper thing and we'll have that. We'll figure out a time and a different time and a different place.
So what's gonna happen with this one this fall?
well, that's,
it will be held as scheduled.
It's already permitted?
It has not been yet.
Okay,
Flag football has volunteered to have volunteers the next day do cleanup.
the next one.
Yep.
So they're gonna crawl on my roof, get
I-
on my gutters? Okay. I'm just saying.
yard cleanup.
Well, I think it's a fair question. I mean, before I was mayor 5, 6 years ago, when they were bigger and you're lighting them off at Fifth Street or Fourth Street, I mean, I'd get 2 garbage bags full of these half moon softball size stuff. And, I'm sure Dan did at his house, but I just picked it up. I was mad. And I thought, why doesn't somebody follow up? The littering part's what gets me. I like the fireworks, but, so we need to be better. I don't know how we're gonna handle flag football. I would like to, see that, I guess, if they're gonna have volunteers. But, we definitely, community days need to change the location.
Yeah, I can change, community days is a 4 or 5 day event, so there's a lot more room to move things around or pick a different spot or have a different time. But I agree that if we have an ordinance in place that requires a permit, we should be following that process. So I don't know if it'd be, I'm a CFFL for theirs, and I'm assuming it'd probably be caught for. I don't know,
Community days.
community days.
Okay, no public hearings?
Unfortunately not.
Okay.
Was there other open comments? Sorry.
Pardon?
Was there any other open comments? I didn't know if there's any.
Anybody else have anything to say, I guess? Okay. Now we'll go to other business, city engineer. Jake?
Good evening all. Few pay apps there for consideration. Just going over here, I expect each will need its own motion. First one's pay app number 2 for 605 companies on the playground site improvements. This essentially pays them for all work associated with the project, less the retainage. We're withholding that retainage, not considering this the final pay app. Just because some seed that needs to be established, some riprap that needs to be cleaned up, a few cleanup items. We are, by coincidence, meeting with them tomorrow morning on site, kind of do a final walkthrough, establish a punch list, and by this time next month, hopefully all those will be addressed, and we'll be able to close that down.
One motion or one at a time?
We need one motion at a time, right? Or
I would.
do you prefer? Okay.
I would prefer, yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve pay app 2 for Heritage Pond Playground Site. The 605.
Second.
Any comments? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, the park dock, bulkhead and sidewalk.
Yeah, before that, real quick on the playground piece, I did get a note from Dakota Playscapes late today. They're still expecting a delivery day of the playground on September 2nd, so it should be on track to get that installed there by the end of the month and bring all that together. Dock, bulkhead, and sidewalk, this is also pay number 2 for 605. The second scope, if you will, that add-on scope of work. This would pay them in full for all the work that's taking place down there. This one doesn't have the retainage, but has the same concerns with the seating and such. But due to the retainage of the open contract, we recommend approving this one. So this will absolve that.
Is there a motion on the dock, bulkhead and sidewalk?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Now the water storage improvements.
Yeah, this one is for all work through the end of July. All the foundation, site work, et cetera, that's taking place. It also includes what we call steel receipts. That's more or less a material payment for the steel that's been delivered to McGuire for the project. That steel stays at their shop. That's where they roll it, fabricate it, but was paying for the material there, so recommend you move forward with this one. Expecting, there'll be a few more pay requests in the coming months, probably not every month for additional steel receipts, but beyond that, not a lot happening with that project until the spring, like we mentioned before.
Is there a motion on number 3, water storage?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, say sign, motion carried. Thank you. Utilities, I think Tobias probably best explain the revision on the gas service agreement. I believe it's for people that can't pay on time or set up things. I'll let Tobias.
It's essentially our contract is stated, when people want to have a service line installed, I would like to get the okay to work with Patrick and then implement it once it's done. That's just, yeah. I didn't just want to say, here's the new contract without getting some sort of okay. There's no draft for this because we're working off the, I'll say 20-plus-year-old template, if you've seen it with the, I'll forward a draft or a finalized one. Hopefully, once we have it, it's just, we need to move this ahead since we do have that small window where we, can seize those opportunities.
So you're just asking for,
Go ahead to get it done and then implement it once, Patrick is fine with it.
Oh.
If you want to review it first before implementing, then that's fine too. It's just need to kind of get this going.
I'm okay with it once Patrick reviews it.
Yeah.
Do you want a motion on that?
I prefer a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the implementation of the revised gas service agreement. Is that good enough?
That's good enough.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Increase in hydrant meter deposit.
Our hydrant meter deposit was always too low. When we implemented this in 2021, it was always $1,000. To replacement's $1,500. It should just be increased to a minimum of $1,500 when
What is it
someone
now?
rents it. It's 1,000, but
Oh,
the ones I've looked, if we had to replace it, it would be $1,500 to $2,000 to replace it, depending on the piece of equipment. So it needs to be increased. Or not, your guys' call.
so remind me again, this gets charged to,
This gets charged to essentially, someone wants to draw water off the hydrant for whichever project, and it gets charged to the person renting it. And then,
oh, so it's a deposit for them to rent the
Yeah.
yep,
meter?
the meter,
Okay,
correct.
I got
Move to
you.
approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Both same sign, motion carried. Economic development. Mike?
I don't have anything to report.
The only thing I would bring up, I don't know what it would fall under, but Mike and I went to, the sewer, regionalization meeting they had. Were you there too? Jake was there and, yeah. And, we have the $23.6 million. We have 10 years to use it. And the biggest problem right now is, some sort of a agreement on the pipeline, main itself. And then, the matching funds. And so there's, they're trying to work something out, on that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike.
The $23 million requires a 20% match. So we're trying to determine what projects that have been completed might qualify for that match. Some of our sewer improvements would count towards that. If we include the city of Hartford in the agreement, then the work that, some of the work that they've already done on the wastewater treatment facility they're building would count towards that. So we're trying to determine what counts and what doesn't. There's also some other associated costs, because not only do we have to get this big conveyance line from Colton down to Hartford, but we would have some cost getting from our lagoon system to the conveyance line. So there's a lot of unknown. And how long have we been meeting now? 4 months, 5 months?
Yeah.
As a large group. And personally, I don't feel like we're any closer to those answers today than we were 5 months ago. It's moving very, very slowly. And I've said this more than once, talking about sewer is obviously not an awful sexy topic, but it is so critical to everything that we're doing here in this city. If we don't have some place to send our crap, we're gonna be in a big trouble real soon. So we have to stay very diligent on that topic.
And the other part, they brought up, I believe, they were having Meyer Henry look at the possible jurisdictional setup of who would be in charge of that pipeline or oversee it after it's put in. And then there was talk of Colton, Crooks, and Hartford maybe throwing money into the pot, like up to $5,000 each town. It hasn't been decided, nobody's, said we're going to, but it's being talked about, and at some point it's gonna come.
I can expound on that a little bit too. Before we can even get to a spot where we can say we want to do this or not, there's gonna be some money spent, whether it's for engineering services, legal review and all that stuff. And none of that is covered by these grant funds until we can get to a point where everybody says we're in. So just like anything else that we do before we do it, I mean, there's going to be some cost associated with getting there. So we will have to bear some of that burden at some point. But again, it's another one of those topics that nobody really knows what that is yet. So there's nothing to ask for approval for yet. But just know that there's some legal expense and some engineering expense that will probably be coming our way even before we can say, do we want to do this or not? So, like I said, we don't have an ask because we don't know a number either yet.
So not to throw another wrench in this, but at what point, when we do have an idea, at what point do we look into our alternatives and make sure it's the best financial solution? Like, that versus just sending it to Sioux Falls. But it's kind of hard to do that without knowing.
That answer is going to have to be coming soon. I mean, and when I say soon, Butch said 10 years. We don't technically even have to have it done in 10 years. But that money is there. It would look really bad on a bunch of people if everybody decided to bow out of this at the last minute here. I'm not saying we're locked into doing it by any means, but it has to make financial sense. You're right. At some point down the future, we're going to ask DGR to do a study on what it's going to take to get it to Sioux Falls versus what it's going to take to get it to Hartford, because that's really, those are our only two viable solutions for the future. So I don't think we're just not to that point yet.
It was all done in anticipation of EPA or Danner's new guidelines for what we can discharge and the amount of toxic, or not toxic, but whatever.
Standards,
Yeah. And so we're gonna get that report sometime soon.
Yeah, so the current permit expired June technically, but it'll continue to be governed too until the new ones given by the state. As of last year, they were pretty close to a year behind on those. They're a little caught up now, they hired some more staff, but yeah, all things considered, it'll be a bit yet before we get that new effluent discharge, which again, you have to meet that within 5 years. To Mike's point, that's when that information is known is really the best time to dive into those alternatives, because there's really three. There's two obvious ones: heart rehabilitation, Sioux Falls revitalization, and also doing a standalone treatment. That third option is probably going to be quickly seen to be not viable or practical money wise. But when you start looking at funding, you got to look at those alternatives. They're going to want to see that was all vetted through. So yeah, they're having all the right conversations, all the right considerations here. It's Mike and Butch are both right. It's going to be a slow, painful process as it is with projects of this magnitude and funding of this nature. But all things considered, it puts us in a really good position because you have those options at your disposal, and you're not shoestrung to any one thing right now. Even within the framework of the funding, there's a lot of options and ability to do what's best for the city of Crooks. And ultimately, that right option is gonna shine and become obvious. Okay. Streets. Eric, do you have anything?
I think they got their slurry seal this last month, but that's all I know.
Okay. Yeah, I think, pretty much everything, is caught up. I believe next year we'll be doing some, crack sealing, ahead of any street sealing or slurry seal. Planning and zoning.
Well, hearing's been scheduled to discuss a potential recommendation to permit modular homes at Crooks. So, August 26th at 7 p.m. at the community center.
So,
Basically rejected their plans for a variance on those modulars,
who did?
the plan and zoning. And they told them that they need to rezone to R3.
I don't think they would have to if this new
That
ordinance.
was the discussion that we had, I'm gonna paraphrase, but instead of just fixing this one problem, to fix this going forward, I think, when we first started CHRC land up north, we specifically wrote it into our covenants up there to allow for the modular homes. And in fact, there is one. And then we came to find out that there's some conflicts in the building code. To fix this going forward, while still allowing for the protections that we need in some of those instances, what the proposed thing, I believe, Tobias, did everybody get that today?
I forwarded the link.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you read that proposed amendment, basically all it's doing is putting some language in there to identify and allow the modular builds. So these still have to meet the building code of the neighborhood. There was some problem with, if we switched it to R3, that opens up building code to like trailer houses. That's what R3 really is for, is trailer houses. So Scott and I worked it through, and it seemed like there was less of a risk of future problems by just fixing the definitions. So that way, if you go back and look at that, what you got from Tobias today, just read, all that is changing a couple of words in the definitions for the different dwelling types. So I think it's, again, because of what we've been through with Van Buskirk and Heg Builders, I got less concerned about solving their immediate problem and more concerned about solving a future, fixing this correctly for the future. And I think this revision will do that. So planning and zoning will see it on their normal meeting night on the 26th, and then we can have a second reading after
So
that.
when did you guys do all this? And that was after our meeting?
Yes, within the last week and a half, pretty much every day since that meeting.
Okay, government buildings and IT infrastructure, Alan?
Nothing new to report. Do you want to go over that? Did the boundary fence analysis? Oh, that's what we did. We got the new server installed. We're gonna get the new firewall installed this week. Sorry. And then there's this service sales agreement from Revise for revamping the website. This was included in the original when we switched to them during, I think, 2020. The redesign was included. Sarah, the Sarah in charge of it, she obtained a additional service in it, which is interactive file forms. So you just fill them out, and they're exactly on our forms. So then we can streamline our digital efforts there a little more. The one thing I'll have to go back and ask them is why there's another prepaid annual fee, because we just paid $2,400 for an annual service fee. So more so to, we talked about last time, to get an idea of what this cost will be we're looking at, and that's what the quote.
So 3,400 annually.
No, 2,400 annually. That's where their math here is.
Oh, I see.
They're
Okay.
doing the annual is for 1,000 for these interactive forums. It's $19.50 to set them up, but
Yep.
then if we just pay $2,400 for a whole year, website hosting, so I don't, and I'll have to clarify why this has to be paid. Why we're prepaying another annual fee rather than just getting nixed. And this could be also because this was prepared before they got the.
I was gonna
check.
say, it's probably just a cross timing
more
issue.
than anything.
So really, the new cost, if we're already doing the 2,400 annual, is the setting up this interactive fillable forms.
Yeah, and then the annual fee for that, so check on that.
So 1,000 annual fee, okay. Anything we can, I don't know, anything we can do to make the website more friendly. Customer friendly is,
So, do we need to?
well, I was gonna say, but do you want to,
I wouldn't, not
No.
until
Okay.
we get a final say on this one.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we'll move on to parks. And I just, asked Travis if he'd come and just give us an update. It's been a couple of years. I think we're, after the first of the year, we make our third payment or before the,
By the 15th of January, we have to make the third payment.
okay, that'll be our third payment on the 17 acres. So just to give us a,
Yeah, so I'm Travis. I'm the president of Travis Bowl Association. First off, I want to start off. I want to say thank you to the city of Crooks for helping us the communication for the current parks we have, doing the fields, the cleanup during our tournaments, the field prep for all of our games. It's been awesome the last couple of years, and this last year was even better. Just want to say thanks to the city crew for the help for that. It's been awesome. A lot to be excited about Travis Ball Association for our different age divisions. We've placed or been in the state tournaments for all four of our older age divisions. So again, from a quality standpoint, we're playing a lot of really good baseball for Travis Ball in the community, which is awesome. To your point for the fundraising portion, we're still continuing to raise funds. We're doing the Chase the King through Credo Pub out of the northwest corner of Sioux Falls, if you will, trying to raise funds for Travis Ball for the parks, if you will. We're on our second round. The first round went out in week 33, which we raised $20,475 when that jackpot went out. Currently, we're at week 13, and we're just above $8,000 for the second round of fundraising. We've been in talks with a major healthcare company in the region, in the area, but unfortunately about sponsorships, those talks have kind of broken down on us. They've changed direction of what they're looking to do with some of their, what I'll call community dollars, I guess. We're in the process of working on some other fundraising ideas. We have some other things in the work. We're trying to partner with Tri-Valley FFA and some different things we got coming here yet, hopefully yet this fall. And also have reached out to several people for some assistance for grant writing, looking to try to find someone, an outside source, Midwestern or even East Coast, West Coast, to help write some grants on behalf of Tri-Valley Ball for the park, if you will. And I think ultimately we're kind of running into, like everybody else, we are running into problems with people just being busy. People got all kinds of other projects and different things, and much like, everyone up here, just super busy and finding time to help keep the fundraising going for Tri-Valley Ball. It's a marathon. It's definitely not a sprint, and we're just getting started. So I think that's the hard part for us for raising funds. It's definitely, we're still ongoing, but it's definitely been a marathon. I guess I'll say that.
so
Any questions?
is your goal still to do a fourplex, or does it make sense just to do 3, or are we still thinking 4?
To better serve the community, the fourplex is still the way to go. For all age groups, all boys and girls, old, young, everything, the fourplex is still where it's at. I truly believe if we can just break through and find that first sponsorship to just get some dirt work moving, I think it will help get the buzz going. I think that would be a great first step, in my opinion. After that, obviously, it comes down to fundraising dollars and getting it going and keep the progress going, and just being able to play a game there just for the community, I think is really what's needed to get it going. But yeah, to answer your question, I think the fourplex is still
probably, I think originally we were hoping 5 years, but, that might be a little bit of a stretch. And that, I think why we went ahead with the land was you needed to show you had ownership of land before somebody would put money in.
Yep, and again, we've, like I said, our biggest one, that healthcare provider that I mentioned, that was, they've had a complete shift in leadership there, and it's been tough. So I wasn't anticipating that, quite frankly. But on the positive note, we still have all the naming rights. I feel like a lot of that stuff is still available for sponsorships. I think there's still plenty of opportunity where we're just trying to focus on one, not focus on everybody, and really try to find a partner that's a good fit for us and for the community.
So I think it's a little early yet, but probably this time next year, there needs to probably be a serious conversation of like what our plan is to do with, once we've made that final payment. You know what I mean? Like, are we gonna cash rent it? Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, is that just kind of, I mean, I know we talked about that, but I mean, that would be, you know, ideally probably the, I don't want to say easiest, but I think the simplest thing to do until, but I mean, not to discuss now, but I mean, that's probably just the next conversation you have to have.
My only suggestion, I think we want to have a decent amount of funds built up so we can make progress rather than move over.
Just pick away at it, yeah.
I want it to be beneficial, I mean, so it's noticeable and not a distraction or a disaster type deal. Yeah, I mean, I could change at a moment's notice, again, if lack of effort, just need someone to play ball with us, pun intended.
Well, I will say as far as that fundraiser, when I go on Facebook and I see you there, I mean, that's a long haul to be there every time, every week. And so I know you are dedicated to.
It is, it takes a village, as I say. It's like around 46 weeks. I think I've only missed 4 or 5 weeks on the 46 every Tuesday. And get to see some familiar faces from the community there, and again, try to make this a better place.
Anybody have any questions? Yeah. Thank you. Is there anything else with Parks, Mike?
We have obtained a bleacher set that we're going to install in Sunset Park for the north field. It's going to, the bleacher set is for free. It's coming from Milford, Iowa. It is, the current set that's in there is, I believe it's 6 rows high. The new one is 10 rows high and 40 feet wide.
You mean New Hope Park?
What did I say?
You said Sunset.
I said,
I know, you're confusing me too.
sorry. Yes, New Hope Park, North Ball Field. So right now with that bleacher set that's in there, there's a little bit of a retaining wall and a poured pad. It's going to take a little bit of work. We got to expand that out on both sides. Current city staff can handle it as far as getting it ready to go. I'm working with some volunteer staff to go to Milford and pick up and bring home the bleachers. It's pretty tough to haul something that's 40 feet long. So we got a trailer lined up, and I think next week we'll make 2 trips in a day and go down and get that stuff and bring it here. But that should about triple the seating capacity at that park. So for Tri-Valley games, for the girls softball games, should make a nice addition. The current set of bleachers that's there, we can slide those around over onto the first base side and keep them as well. So should be a nice enhancement for that ball field.
Okay.
Other than that, if you really want to check out some nice grass, go walk the flag football fields. They've done a really great job of taking care of those this summer, and practices just started last week, the week before. Yeah.
Last week, he started August 24th down there, and that irrigation has
Made a huge difference.
Is there any reason we couldn't take those bleachers out of the parking lot, put them like on the south side of the fields for the parents?
The bleachers usually go in the field eventually.
We'll move them out next week. We haven't
Yeah.
moved them out yet.
Okay.
We practice in the next week and a half. They're all gonna go.
Yeah.
Okay.
We leave them out by the parking lot, so it's easier to mow.
Yeah, I figured that.
But yeah, when they get closer to games, they get moved in.
Okay.
I'm usually the one that moves them, so we'll
Okay.
move them next week, so.
Anything else, Mike?
What's the final numbers for flag football?
275 kids this year, going on the 11th year of Crooks City football. And we, for the first time ever, our 4-5 division is bigger than our K1 division.
Oh, wow.
So I think from a retention standpoint, that speaks volumes to what we're doing there, hopefully, I think. And the lower K1 numbers are just for lack of not getting all the schools a little sooner on our part. But we're still plenty full. We're going to be playing Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Or Saturday, they'll run up until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, starting at 9 a.m. So we'll still be playing.
Okay. Finance, Jen?
I don't have any specific report since we're going to be talking about budget later, but I see Tobias has some things on here, like the Burbach invoice.
If you remember, years ago,
Yeah.
the city worked with a company to facilitate potentially a rec center and pool. A lot of charges were incurred, which was no ordering from the city of Crooks. So I recorded it back then. It needs to be written off. We're not going to pay for it. There's never any proof. Did you ever get anything?
No.
So
And the part was phase one, I think.
we paid the
paid,
24.
But they pursued past phase one without notifying the city.
So it was,
I think,
in the end, it was like 35,000 or so of charges for which there was no proof that the city ordered them. So it just needs some official motion to write it off, because we get asked by the auditor every year why we still have that on the books.
I'll make a motion to write off the Burbach Aquatics invoice.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Do you want to?
Do I? Yes.
Yeah.
You guys have a bunch of paper in front of you. Those are estimated appropriation figures for next year. On the enterprise funds, the special funds, let's start with the easy ones. The special revenue funds, which are your 200 funds, they're pretty much the same as every year. Those would be liquor, lodging, dining, growth receipts tax fund, special maintenance fund, anti-tip funds. Those are uneventful. It's just using money that you, by state statute, have to use for a designated purpose or by contractual agreement. So if you have any questions on those, just feel free to give me a shout.
How's it?
Uneventful.
This is for us to look at,
Yep.
and then we'll vote.
Yeah, I would really like to schedule so our issue is that the next time we talk about budget figures and making any decisions will have to be a special meeting, because otherwise we're gonna have an open meeting law issue by talking individually. So think about what day and time works, because there are some tough decisions that will have to be made, and I'm not so much worried about our enterprise funds and the special revenue funds. I'm worried about the general fund. I have, with the requests and everything, go through it. Some of these figures might change, not by much, but in order to do what you want to do or what was initially requested, the city will have to use a substantial portion of fund balance that I am uncertain will be there in that amount at the end of the year. So when you look at the next page here.
So 175,000.
The 175,000. So you have a structurally balanced budget for the recurring revenues. However, when it comes to the one-time expenditures and extra projects, you have significant outlay of what would be cash reserves, which is easy, to determine why that is. The obligations and commitments the city has made the past few years, and this year that will necessitate the use of that fund balance. To speak this very briefly, I have implemented aggressive cost-cutting measures to save as much as we can on our recurring revenues. And there might be more to come. As I've impressed on staff that there is no room for additional travel. We've cut the cell phone reimbursement for elected officials, as well as other smaller items that, such as, small repairs that would have been above and now need to be covered with our regular amounts. So that's more highlights to follow up a special meeting, I guess, or if you have questions.
And we have to vote,
You have to introduce the ordinance within 10 days of the first meeting in September.
So ideally, we have a special meeting that just focuses on that way when we meet in September, it's
have it all
done,
ironed
basically,
out.
and we're not having to have another meeting, because then in September, if you make any changes after that, then you have to have another meeting. And so we're trying to be proactive versus reactive. So basically, it's look at this, and then Tobias will reach out to us to request a special meeting to really line by line dig into this and decide.
It's a doozy. And also, we have requests from some nonprofits that also have been submitted today, so they will be included at that meeting. Now, I will say one thing about requests. The city needs to see out all its major projects this year before there's any funding commitments made. You have West Ave Phase 2 still not completed, still ongoing West Ave Phase 3 and the Heritage Park. Do not say, yep, we can fund this, we can help out with this until those are seen through. If there's any overages on those, they're already running on tight budgets, we're gonna use unreserved fund balance, which will make this year even harder. So when I checked today, we should break even on those projects. However, West Ave Phase 3, for example, if there's anything else coming up there, we would be over budget. So I know it's hard to say no, so I'll be the bad person. If someone wants money, send them to me, and I'll tell them no until we know. Like that's the unfortunate reality is that.
Requests are closed.
Yeah, I'll be the Debbie Downer. Or discourage anything that behooves the city to make sure that adequate resources are used to meet current obligations. Okay.
so we can just look at it, make our comments, and then at the special meeting, we'll bring them up and
Yeah.
vote them up or down.
Yeah.
Okay, time card software.
So we talked to these time card software providers and had them provide us with a quote. This was done before we had our budget figures for next year, so that might be an opportune time now to ask for this. What this does, however, is the software would provide a app tool where you can do geolocation, easy login, and recording of the time. It would phase out our refined Excel sheet we use right now. It also provides another option, though, where when staff, for example, checks on the pond and so forth, it allows them to make notes and specifically track the time and date. So this is, yes, also for, hours, but also to provide a tool that would then force them to log it. Now, no action is needed on this. We will get government pricing on this either way. So it's just for consideration that at some point, this might be the way to go.
I'll say the one thing that red flag right away, contract length, 5 years. That seems awfully long commitment for something that's, because what if we, this is a brand new concept for us. That's a long commitment to be something that you don't might be happy with.
So the reason why I asked for 60 months is because I was trying to negotiate them down on the price.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, no. So as you know, I am not a fan of long-term contracts. 1 year is traditionally what we do for everything. So this was mainly because of that. Now they told us no dice on that. And then given our current financial, like whatever situation, might not be seen as large in a grand scheme, but maybe this needs to be put on hold until you have employee buy-in, see more demonstrations, and say if this can be easily absorbed or figured into the appropriations. It's more so to get an idea.
Well, I don't think it hurts to get competitive pricing or to go back and get government pricing. And it probably, I mean, I don't know how you found this company, but it probably wouldn't hurt to at least find one other platform, just compare. I don't know, how did you find this?
City of Spearfish uses them,
Oh, okay.
and that's really was word of mouth. There are other providers out there. Like I said, this was more so to get an idea
Yeah.
what this would entail and what it would cost. I mean,
it's not I mean, you're right, it's not a terribly expensive product, but.
It's about,
So 487 annually,
yeah,
and then a one-time investment of
I
1350.
think the total would be, initially, Yeah, I mean, it's, like I said, no decision needs to be made. I'll gladly get another quote or even put this on hold, kind of given.
Well, I don't think it hurts getting a quote, just so maybe even if that can be something we also talk about at the budget meeting, if that is something we want to move forward with.
I'll probably not have a quote ready by then, so maybe just table this until 2025 ongoing project. Just because, not hard to find a solution, but to find someone who does it specifically for government. We'll look into it, but I don't want to make a promise that I'll have another quote.
Okay, anything on code enforcement and animal control?
I do. Folks, if you have trees in your yard that are not having 16 feet clearance, if you're on Ontario or Collector Street, make sure you trim them. I started to send letters to folks about a variety of things, so I don't know if that's all. Then also another big issue is animal licensing. That is actually a huge issue in town. If you have an animal and it doesn't have a Crooks tag, make sure it gets licensed. I just heard from someone who they talked about all their neighbors having dogs and we don't have their pet tags, so make sure they're licensed. Otherwise, if they ever get loose, take them to the pound.
It's an easy process. I just did it. So it's all on the website, and you don't even have to pay online. You can just add the dollar charge to your utility bill. So it was a very.
So it's $1, but it pays off if your pet gets loose and it has the tag, so it doesn't go to the pound right away.
It's at the discretion of the animal control officer. Usually we try to find the owner. I mean, that's what we've been trying to do. Otherwise it goes to the pound. It pays off plus lifetime to pay with that, so. Otherwise, we've had some issues with littering in town and burning trash. So that's been another issue that's ongoing. So if you see someone burn trash, please let us know. We've had one complaint where someone was burning all of their household garbage. Then they told us it was just a bonfire. So do let us know, and if that happens, do call the sheriff. Another thing is some folks have started to store furniture outside of their house, like a mattress at one house. Refrain from doing that, just because we are a little short-staffed. If you do see any code issues, do let us know and we'll address those.
I got a couple items.
Oh.
Anything from church site cleanup?
About the mower, I saw the mower still there. I was gonna email him and say, hey, your mower that is, I mean, a relic now needs to get removed.
Well, there's.
Hired someone for mowing, but that area back there is getting pretty rough. The old church, Forest, you can see the mower right that's nestled between the tree line back there, so.
How about the Quonset shed on Fourth and the railroad tracks?
Junior Winch Auxiliary got a hold of them, and we don't have anything on, like, in our ordinances that says that can be left open. We'll try to reach the owner again and ask them to seal the building off at least. It's just we have not too much enforcement on that, and which, I don't know if it is at a state where there's just, it needs to be condemned or so, but that'll be a whole different process.
What's the issue that people are going in there?
The walk door that faces Fourth Street is just wide open, and there's been several instances where people are in there. How about the CDC and the empty land up north?
I have reached out to the CDC and talked to them about, there are multiple issues up there. The biggest one is because of the heavy rains, our gas lines are exposed, like visibly exposed. So I told them that needs to be covered. They need to put up the erosion control as well as, what do you call it? Seed the whole area, because it's been pretty bad. So the way I've approached code enforcement is phone call and email first before we send the letter. Seems to have goes over better with folks. And I have reached out to Clayton because that does need to get done, because when we installed the gas lines, we covered them. But there, if you've been up there, right, you can see the whole ditch is exposed where the line is. I mean, it's
In the north.
Yep, in the north part. So it's, and Jason also has talked to, Mr. Winter on occasions that, hey, this needs to get covered up, because he was on the impression it still is, or is. So that has been addressed. Otherwise, what I would do is I would hire the contractor and I'll build it. I mean, it needs to get covered up. And it really is. I mean, you have 4-inch pipe exposed up there, so it's been, not ideal. We've also sent everyone a letter to the CDC development to make sure that they comply with the landscaping standards and PP&D regulations. So have some follow-up questions on that, and I'll work diligently with property owners.
Okay. Any other questions on that? Other business, I don't have any volunteer acknowledgements. Anybody else here does? Okay, Tobias printed out a meeting schedule for council, for starting in 25. I guess this was just to get it in front of you so we can decide, if we want to do 2 meetings a month, or not, but this would be the schedule if we do, so we're looking for feedback. Seems like we have more and more special meetings, and it doesn't have to be done. This is just a suggestion. So, next item is, I wanted to get on the calendar was the surplus and disposition of the current street shop on Main Street and the garage south of the water tower. It'll probably take up to 90 days to be ready to have an auction or whatever we do, but there has to be appraisal.
You have to put the appraised value in the bid notice. I reached out to 3 appraisal companies, check it. EALT, some initial thing. And another one, I only got one firm number back. I've been working on the other one, so I'd like to get a few. So the one that has said, yes, it can do it, it'll take about 3 weeks to get the appraisal, and it will be $2,500 a pop. I've also worked with Jake, or am working with Jake, to get the garage platted, or the old shop platted, so, get that ready. It's just, a lot of moving parts here, because this also ties into the new shop, so it would be, given the time an appraisal could take, it would be ideal if there was some sort of indication that how soon that needs to be ordered, because it is 3 weeks, which would put us at the mid-September, which another 2 or 3 weeks would have to publish a bid notice, which would put us right at the end there of the month of October for surplusing or selling those facilities. I've also spoken with Patrick, there was a desire to have an auction, and you can do a deposit or a minimum for participating, which would be refundable. And the city has the right or can reject any and all bids at the auction. He had said though, if we are at that 90% threshold of appraised value, you should probably accept that. Because then that would be, the argument there would be a little tougher to say, well, we can't accept this, but that's on you guys. The question there is, you're probably gonna want to have 2 separate auctions, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Same day, but.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, another thought that came to mind is, I do not know if the city can, I know you can transfer property between nonprofit, but if you transfer the city shop from city to the CDC, and if there was the option of getting credit towards the building because they would dispose of the shop, then if that was another option that, I mean, at least I'm gonna ask Patrick about, and I think it'd be fair. But, like I said, you guys give direction, I'll do it however I'd like.
Well, I think, no matter what, we have to get an appraisal done.
Yep, the
I
appraisal.
mean, that starts everything.
Yep. And
So you've only gotten the 1 quote back?
I've only got 1 answer back, and I'm gonna, and the other ones haven't even responded. The other guy said, yep, I'll get back to you, have to look into it. I mean, at most, I would give him maybe another week, but even that pushes you.
Well,
back.
but this one was at 2,500 per property.
Per property.
I'd make a motion to proceed and expend no more than $5,000. So if one of the other ones comes in at lower than that, I'm totally fine using it.
Okay.
But $2,500 for each property is, I think that's reasonable.
So there's a motion, anybody want a second?
I'll second
Any further discussion on that? All those in favor, aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Butch, would you guys be allowed to rent them?
We'd be
If you
allowed
bought 'em, you
to.
mean?
no, if we kept them, could we rent them out?
Oh,
It'd be
well,
allowed, I just don't know that we want to. I mean, why rent them if you can just sell them?
You're asking if the city would rent them out?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think we want to be in that business, but.
but there's nothing to do.
Huh?
There's nothing, all you do is collect the rent.
I think we need the money bill for the new
Okay, well,
shop.
let's say that,
I
Yeah.
think that's the real reason.
because otherwise, there's people who rent them and pay pretty good money if you get one.
Sounds like a business opportunity. Get your bid ready.
Yeah, let's run those figures then.
They go for it.
What?
What's the square footage of the building?
I don't know.
Is what?
What's
What
the,
would it rent for?
I don't know how big they are even. But there's nothing in town here.
4,200 square feet.
And there's no place to go.
Well, that's why we're hoping we'll get a good price.
Well, what are they asking for the, I don't know if they're calling them like the,
650 for the hobby,
for the hobby,
but they also have water.
and it's 650?
Mechanics and welders, even like cheap outfitters and stuff, looking for places to store their stuff, and some of them building their walls in there. I don't care what you do, I know the buildings around here rent pretty dang good, like, Clifton have no trouble getting this building.
Yeah, well, we have a hard enough time when we rent this. And, I can't see us having another 2 buildings to watch over.
Well, I think initially the hope was that we could sell them for what we're hoping and make that big payment towards the new shop, but, yeah, I guess I don't
At least
know.
$1,000 for the one right.
Do either one of them have water?
No, I was told it wasn't that much
The whole
to get
project.
water in
Yeah,
the.
yes, Eric is sitting, the tenant could make a improvement at their expense.
Yeah, I suppose you could. Well, I mean, could that be part of an appraisal? Will they do rental? I mean, would they do the value of the property and then also like
The
a,
one guy said yes, the one guy had it on his website, yes, he would, but I think you still need to get.
I'd rather just sell.
But then are you gonna pay the city staff more to
Just
manage
sell
it? Are you-
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want the,
Just sell.
I will say most renters are good, but you do have your handfuls that are challenging.
yeah. Do you really want to be a landlord?
I mean, I don't know, we made good money here when we still had, our flourishing rental business. It was not fun.
I'm
Yes, but there's a
not overlooking
money
your
and then
sarcasm.
there's,
Could we afford the garage if we rented them out? If we didn't have the extra 150 to 200 grand? Or are we that type strapped for cash?
no, it's just, that was just the,
Yeah, I mean, I think the discussion was always like to get rid of it, right? The renting was never really considered, and in order to see whether or not renting is feasible, you'd have to see what's the lifetime of the building, what's the rent, what's the average increase, then reduce that to your present value and say, okay, you have to make a decision today, this is what it is. There's, I think inadvertently, you're gonna have repairs or other items up there that could, you know.
It wouldn't hurt to look into that, because you guys might be thinking you're gonna get 200,000 for that building. And people come to an auction and they're thinking it's only 100,000.
so
Then we
you
can
just said,
cancel their bids too. Then we can cancel it.
yeah.
I know that, but I'm just saying it doesn't.
No, I agree.
Did you say we had to publicly,
Yeah, so.
we had to publicly say what it was appraised at? Okay.
You have to put that in, and you have to appraise the building separate from the land, that's like the other nuance here.
But that would all be public, whatever the appraisal came out to
I
be.
mean, well, it will be city document, will be on document even.
Well, let's get them appraised at least and see what we're
We'll
talking.
check it out, Bill.
It's not a prime location for selling it, but there's people want to come to Crooks that maybe rent it. You know, because there's better places, the north end is better, interstate's better. It's just whatever, I don't know what you guys got it valued at.
We don't.
We don't know either, that's why we get it appraised.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, most people, like, getting capped was 1.3 million. We end up selling for 700, but, you know, you gotta realize something you might not get what you want.
Yeah, but, we can reject it.
Move
Yeah, I
along.
know that.
Move along.
All right, move on.
So let's move on, appoint interim public safety director, animal control, code enforcement.
Do we have somebody in mind?
I guess it's a motion for me, so. In the interim, I'll just do it.
So we need a motion.
Motion to appoint Tobias.
Oh, we're doing Jason.
Second?
Any discussion on that?
So is Jason still gonna step up and do some of this too, though? Because we had talked about,
Well, we need to have someone who is essentially deputized and in that sense, and who is the authority.
okay, I
Because
gotcha.
otherwise, no.
But he
I
could
mean, you
be,
could do Jason too, but it's right.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
still gonna be doing some, stepping up and doing some more code enforcement and stuff.
He already has.
Oh, okay.
Previously too, and it's just, yeah, until there's a solution found for that particular position, I think you just need to, this is not something I wanted to do, let's put it that way. So it's what it is.
Temporary.
Temporary.
All those in favor,
All
aye?
right,
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. And the CHRC financial. Or, I don't know, Mike, or you want to buy it, talk about them?
What do we want to know?
Well, I guess, are we gonna have enough money to keep, coming in to keep our, restricted cash balance at 164,000?
As long as Van Buskirk keeps selling lots, we'll have money in there. There's, about 3 years worth of payments in there right now. And as lots are sold, we get a cut of every lot that's sold to reimburse the CHRC for the land purchase. So when it is all done, we should have a profit of about $20,000 over our initial purchase. That was the plan all along, to keep the cost of the lots as low as we could. So at the end of the day, the CHRC got a 20-year bond to start development up there. What are we, 7 years into that, Tobias?
Yeah.
So with the other things that CHRC cash has been used for over the years, the lighting of the trail, the signs, the Christmas decorations, some of that stuff, we will be really, really close to break even on that when that bond payment is done in 20 years.
And with if the ordinance goes through, will help you sell 2 or 3 more lots right away.
They're ready to go.
What's that?
The
I
modular.
said if the
Oh, yeah.
ordinance goes through.
Yep.
He reached out today. Oh, they reached out today. Hey.
Okay, set employee wage.
So Jenny is working part-time for us, and we just need to set an hourly wage of $29.46, which is her hourly rate.
That's her current,
Yeah.
oh. We're just resetting it as her temp
Well,
appointment?
by state law, you have to reset that
Okay.
wage, otherwise we would have to pay, a salary, and
Yep.
I'm not paying that.
Move to approve.
Second.
With the retroactive date, July 15th, correct?
Right.
Is that when she started, switched to part?
And she's just-
Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Both same sign, motion carried. Codification of ordinances.
It would be great if someone on council or 2 folks on council would like to be actively involved in our ordinance codification. It's a big step for us, but I don't want to unilaterally work on a document and then say, hey, surprise, here it is. So I hope that if someone would be interested in helping us on that.
Okay, second reading of ordinance number 348. An ordinance amending ordinance 337, section 1, where the city of Crooks has adopted ordinance 337 on March 11, 24, with an effective date of April 4th, 24. And whereas a clerical correction needs to be made to the ordinance 337, correcting the department level for which supplemental appropriation. So this is correcting a clerical mistake.
Yeah.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Armstead,
Oh.
Aye.
Roll call.
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Aye.
Same thing here, ordinance 349 and ordinance amending ordinance 341, section 1, whereas city of Crooks has duly adopted ordinance 341 on May 12, 24, with an effective date of June 6, 24, and it's clerical correction needs to be made.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Roll
aye.
call.
Aye.
Roll call.
Opposed, same
We gotta do
sign.
roll call, don't we?
Aye.
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 First reading of ordinance 350. An ordinance of the city of Crooks, South Dakota, establishing, adopting a payment arrangement program for Crooks municipal utility customers.
people have turned us into their budget, like just paying late every month, we need to cap it, it's just kind of become a mess. They come in every month, I got pretty gracious when it came, but there are a few where it's just a monthly recurrence. It's not used for what the intended purpose is when I like, hey, I'm gonna buy this month, I need to pay a little bit later. So every time payment comes due, well, I can pay. This is from another budget. Was not the intent when it was implemented during COVID.
Resolution 2024-24, a resolution of the city of Crooks to levy special maintenance assessment for the annual maintenance for repairing of public improvements as provided for in South Dakota Codified Law 9-43-138. And it keeps it at the same amount we have it. It's just a resolution for the next year.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Resolution 2024-25, a resolution of the City Council of Crooks, South Dakota, amending Resolution 2024-14, Section 1. And this is, deals with the summer watering.
So, yeah, the way the resolution was written, some people would have
Paid more.
in the summer. So this was not the intent of the resolution, so we can clear it up.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye.
All right.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. City of Crooks Resolution 2024-26, a resolution of the City Council of Crooks, South Dakota, establishing a fee for a contractor's license and other requirements for conducting business in Crooks as a contractor.
Lowers the bond amount to 10,000. Multiple contractors have told us it's too high. Everything else is the same. We looked at other towns. Our insurance might even be, the requirement might be a little high, but we license all contractors, commercial and residential. If we just did just residential, we could probably lower it, I'll leave it at the same.
So we're just lowering the bonding?
Yeah,
Okay.
some guys are like, well, it's $200 a year for the bond, I don't want to pay $200 for a bond. I'll be honest. So,
There a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. City of Crooks Resolution 2024-27, resolution of the City Council of Crooks, South Dakota, setting a regular meeting day and times for the Crooks Planning and Zoning Commission.
Is this just because,
That's just to move it to be in between two city council meetings.
oh, okay.
So if they have a hearing, then we, you know what I mean?
So this would be like the third
Yeah.
Monday.
and I checked with 50% of the commissioners that said yes, and at the meeting, it was, the consensus was like, yeah, it'll work fine.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. And now,
Move to executive session.
Who's second?
I'll second.
Your roll call for first.
Aye.
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 Are we in here?
we aren't gonna vote on anything tonight, we're just gonna talk, employee stuff.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
We don't want this stuff.
Okay. Did you say we're meeting in, are we,
Well,
I guess we could stay here. Yeah.
I have like one.
We have to shut these off.
Tobias has to.